I'm sitting there looking at a positive pregnancy test, thinking, what in the actual? I was young, I was uneducated, and really unprepared. And that moment changed everything. Hey, beautiful mama. I'm Trish, otherwise known as Labor Nurse Mama. If you're here, you're probably feeling some version of how I felt when I saw that pause. My planned life was suddenly on a trajectory to what I felt was just everything's different. I was scared, I was naive, but here's what I didn't know then. That moment of fear was actually the beginning of my journey to becoming the labor and delivery nurse and birth educator that you see right now. I am starting a 30-day video series sharing something with you that I wish someone had told me when I was pregnant with my first, or even your second or third, because the story I'm about to tell you, it's probably going to sound familiar. So we're starting this teaching series out with my journey. When I found out I was pregnant, I went into my pregnancy and my birth just doing what I was told. I looked at my provider as a God figure. Everything he said, I mean, he was all knowing. He went to school. And I also, in my soul, believed like he wanted the best things for me. I was just a dumb kid, right? He told me, take the hospital Lamaze class. I did. The class completely reinforced everything he told me, all of my rules for my birth. He told me when I go into labor, come right in. I did. He said I couldn't eat in labor, so I didn't. He told me when it came to pushing, I would push in stirrups, flat on my back, which guess what? I did. And the Lamaze classes that I took, the hospital classes that I took, also told me the same thing. And they both told me if he needed more room, he would do an episiotomy. Thank goodness that's not as regular now because he cut me from one end to the other. I followed every single rule. I trusted completely, and I walked away from that birth feeling like it happened to me, like something had been done to me, instead of feeling that I was in control or that I was the one that gave birth. And I had a really good birth. We also was struggling with feelings of guilt, thinking, why do I feel this way? But I left that birth feeling very powerless. Here's the thing. I didn't realize that a lot of women were feeling that way. But that ignited this fire in me, and I became a true birth nerd. I was so obsessed with birth. And part of that was because of my labor and delivery nurse, Laura Berry. She was like amazing. And so that put me on a path of educating myself and learning what I could about birth. I also was really like, I was just drawn in to hospital birth. And fast forward through my next 4 birth, and I'm pregnant with baby number 6. I had just passed my nursing boards. I got pregnant while I was in nursing school. And shortly after I had Lainey, I landed my dream job as a labor and delivery nurse. You guys, I was so excited. I had my cute little scrub jacket. I had all the cute little things. I strutted onto the labor and delivery unit with confidence, thinking, she has arrived. Because I thought, because of my experiences, that I was just going to come in there and these were just going to be amazing births. And I was humbled so much by what I didn't know. But as my knowledge grew and my understanding of the natural process of birth deepened, so did my frustration. And what catapulted that is I became a travel nurse. I'm traveling from Tennessee to the West Coast, and I'm like, in Tennessee, it's dangerous to eat during labor, but on the West Coast, it's safe. And I'm thinking, what is going on? In Tennessee, we had to push on our back with our feet up in the stirrups. But in California, these women are like, not always, but a lot of them are just pushing how they want. And I remember my moment when I had this patient where I sat in my car crying and I felt so much anger. She was a first-time mom. She came in laboring, so excited about her birth. They were the cutest couple ever. They were so happy that they were being admitted because she was in labor and she loved her provider. But in my heart, I knew that this was a provider who was very likely to take a first-time mom to the OR for C-section. So I asked her, did you take a class? She said, yep, I took the hospital class that my doctor recommended. Sounded familiar to me and maybe to you as well, because that was me years earlier. We're laboring. We had such a beautiful day together and I'm watching her as, labor's doing its thing. And her beloved provider around 5 or 6 p.m. is out at the nurse's station just complaining because she wanted to get home. And how if this mama didn't hurry, like she's falling off the labor curve chart. And if she didn't get going, we're going to have to take her back to the OR. And I was just like, oh, not again. So I go in, I'm doing all my tricks in my book. I'm teaching them, I'm telling them this and that and the other. So they would be prepared for this conversation. But her doctor comes in and sits down and looks into my sweet patient's eyes and very quietly says, "You have worked so hard. I'm so proud of you, but it's time to think of other options. What we want is a healthy baby. And I'm worried that if we keep going this way, we're going to be making a decision out of emergency. And, I want what's best for you. And I think we need to talk about a cesarean." And I'm over there charting, right? I'm charting and I'm typing like a mad woman on my computer, screaming inside. And when I look over, I'm thinking I've educated her all day and all of these things. But I look over and my patient and her husband were just nodding yes with tears because what most moms would say is, "I don't want to put my baby in danger, so let's go ahead and do the C section now." So she ends up having a primary C section. She literally had no reason, no problems during labor, but she goes back to the for a cesarean and for the diagnosis that I would come to hate, which is failure to progress. So again, I'm sitting in my car, I'm crying. And from then on, I educated the heck out of my patients from the moment that they land in my labor room. But I found that no matter how much I empowered them and educated them and discreetly gave them all the tools, it was too late once they hit the labor room because they just don't know what they don't know. They didn't have time to understand their body or their rights. And the vast majority of them had only taken classes that reinforce policy and procedures, not the natural process of birth and a woman's right to safely choose her path. In 2018, I'm done with this. So I launched my blog and I posted my first tell all real birth article. And guess what? I was blown away. We had over 35,000 views that first month. And my article got picked up by all sorts of magazines. And I realized women want to know the truth. They want to enter their birth with power and certainty and the ability to speak up, which no one was teaching them. That's why I created this 30-part series, because over the next month or so, I'm going to give you everything I wish that I had known when I had Ian, and everything I wish that my patients would know when they walk into their birth room, and everything I've learned from attending thousands of births as a labor and delivery nurse, everything I've taught to over 15,000 women who go on to have empowered, confident birth. We're going to cover when to actually go to the hospital. And spoiler alert, it's probably not what your doctor told you. We're going to talk about navigating scenarios, first baby, VBAC, high risk, living far away from the hospital, your rights that no one talks about, how to build unshakable confidence. We're going to talk about some birth labor pain, coping tools, and so much more. This is going to be a journey. By day 30, you're going to feel so confident and you're going to have some tools, some confidence, and some clarity. Here's what I know now that I didn't know then. You are not a passive patient. You are the star of your birth story. And I'm so happy that you're here. This is going to be a series that is going to educate, inform, and empower you. Now, I want to hear from you in the comments below. Tell me, what is your biggest fear about birth right now? What's one thing you wish you knew more about? I'm going to read every single comment, and your questions are actually going to help shape some of the upcoming episodes. And if this resonates with you, if you can relate to my frustration and my desire for women to own their birth, type me in all caps in the comments, because that tells me you're ready to step out of your comfort zone, take the steps needed to invest in your birth instead of winging it and leaving it to chance. Tomorrow, we're diving into day 2, when to go to the hospital. I'm going to break down First Time Mama's edition, and I'm going to share the real signs that means, yes, it's time to go, plus the biggest mistakes I see first time moms make that can actually make their labor longer and harder. Make sure you're subscribed and hit the notification bell, because this information could literally change your entire birth experience. I'll see you tomorrow for day too. You've got this. You're incredible. You're powerful. And I adore